Starting off with the Angels, I have Logan O'Hoppe. Now, I love the batted ball profile from last year. He had very good average exit velocity, the barrel percentage, hard hit percentage, raw high. Did very well with the sweet spot percentage as well. I just hate the plate discipline. He ranked in the 8th percentile in strikeout percentage and the bottom 25 in walk percentage. There's a lot of swing and miss here. He chases out of the zone. Not a big fan of that for Logan O'Hoppe this year. For the Astros, I go with Jose Altuve. I feel like every year we expect Altuve to start falling off, but he keeps finding a way to put up good numbers. But this year, I do expect a bit of a decline with these numbers. His plate discipline was not very good this past year. Sure, strikeout whiff percentage did rank well, but his walk percentage did not. Only the 32nd percentile last year. That was about a 4% drop from 2023. And his chase rate ranked horribly, only the 6th percentile. That was about a 5% increase from the previous year. He's also going to be playing some left field this year, so I wonder if that ends up getting in the way of what he does at the plate. For the A's, I go with Luis Severino. Now, don't get me wrong, I like what he did for the Mets last year, but I also think he was overpaid a good amount this offseason. Now, when it came to the metrics, he did well at limiting the exit velocity, the barrel percentage, the hard hit percentage, all ranked well, and he got a good amount of ground balls. But something to keep in mind is he's not going to have that good Mets infield defense behind him like he did in 2024, and he doesn't get a lot of swing and misses. As you can see here, only the 21st percentile when it came to the whiff percentage. The strikeout percentage was pretty low. He walks a decent amount of guys as well. I just wonder how that plays with an A's infield defense that ranked 26th overall in outs above average last year. For the Blue Jays, I go with George Springer. Now, his numbers have been declining over the last couple of years, and last year, his average exit velocity and hard hit percentage didn't rank very well. Despite his barrel percentage looking pretty good, he still does well with the plate discipline, doesn't strike out a whole lot. He walks a good amount, doesn't really chase a whole lot either. I'm just a little worried about this batted ball profile. On to the Braves, and I hate to do this because I've always been a Sean Murphy fan, but I'm starting to get a little worried here. He had an injury-riddled season last year and didn't really show all that much when he was healthy. Now, he just had a rib injury, and he is expected to miss a chunk of time. Now, without really having a spring training, it's going to be interesting to see how he bounces back, especially coming off the bad year that he had last year. On to the Brewers, and I have Tobias Myers. Now, last year, he stepped up in a big way, posting an ERA of 3.00 over 27 games and 25 starts, but I'm a little worried about him being able to duplicate those numbers here in 2025. While he did limit the walks very well, he didn't rank well when it came to the average exit velocity. The whiff percentage didn't look all that great. He was pretty middle of the road when it came to his strikeout and chase percentage as well. He also had a very low batting average on balls in play of 250, which shows that he could have been getting a bit lucky. And on top of that, he's dealing with an oblique injury. For the Cardinals, I got Nolan Arenado. Now, I thought he was going to get traded this offseason, but one thing I always said was that if he went to a hitter-friendly park, that would be the best thing for him. That's because the batted ball data did not look very good this past year. In the bottom 10% when it came to his average exit velocity and the barrel percentage, he was only in the 12th percentile in hard hit percentage. Sure, he ranked well when it came to the strikeouts and the whiffs. He makes a lot of contact, but not a lot of good contact. Now, I do think if he goes to a hitter-friendly park, if he gets traded eventually, I think he'll do well because he did rank well when it came to the sweet spot and squared up percentage, but I don't see him doing well with another year at Busch Stadium. On to the Cubs, and I'll go with Jameson Taillon. Now, he did post pretty solid numbers last year, including a 3.27 ERA and a very low walk rate, but he had a lower than average BABIP of 269, and his velocity decreased a little bit this past year, and his average exit velocity only ranked in the 25th percentile, and he gives up a lot of hard contact. For the Diamondbacks, I got Eugenio Suarez. Now, Suarez did have solid numbers last year, including 30 home runs and a 469 slugging, but there were a couple of things that worried me. He did have good batted ball data, but I didn't like the plate discipline very much. He only ranked in the 17th percentile in strikeout percentage and the 24th percentile in whiff percentage. Not a whole lot of walks either, and he was pretty up and down last year. He had a 942 OPS in the second half, but only had a 668 OPS in the first half. On to the Dodgers, and I got to go with James Outman. He was so good a couple of years ago, finishing third in Rookie of the Year voting, but last year, he completely fell off. There were a few good things. The bat speed, the sweet spot percentage looked pretty good. The walk percentage actually ranked pretty well, but every other metric was pretty terrible for the most part, and it's not even a guarantee that he's going to be on the opening day roster with the Dodgers already having their starting outfield set, and they have other guys that can come off the bench. For the Giants, I got Tyler Fitzgerald. Now, he did look pretty pretty solid for the Giants last year, hitting .280 with an .831 OPS, but his batted ball data wasn't very good outside of the sweet spot percentage, and along with that, he only had a 6.5 walk percentage, and he struck out almost 32% of the time. So how did he have these solid numbers? Well, he had an extremely high BABIP of 380, which means he was probably getting a bit lucky. I definitely see some regression here. On to the Guardians, and I got David Fry. He got off to a great start last year, hitting .279 with an .853 OPS, but his numbers dipped big time in the second half, and his overall batted ball metrics weren't very good, and he got elbow surgery this past offseason. I'm not too confident with him in 2025. One of the better stories last year was Victor Robles for the Mariners, but I'm not too confident in him replicating that success this year. While he did hit .307 with an .814 OPS, his batted ball data did not look very good, and he only had a 7% walk rate. On top of this, he had a BABIP that was very high at .370. I definitely think we're going to see some regression. I'm going to be honest here. I have some pretty good Edward Cabrera fatigue, and I think a lot of other people do too. It seems like every year people pick this guy to be a breakout player because he has very good velo, he gets a lot of good swing and miss, has good stuff overall, but every year he finds his way on the IL, and on top of that, he walks a lot of hitters, and he gives up a lot of hard contact. I kind of wonder if at some point he would be better off as a reliever. On to the Mets, and I got David Peterson. Now, he had a career year last year, posting an ERA of 2.90, but I do wonder if there's going to be a little bit of regression here. Now, he does get a lot of ground balls in the 85th percentile last year, but on the other hand, he gave up a lot of hard hits, and his strikeouts went down last year as well. So I wonder if he's going to be able to keep up the same success for this coming year. We'll just have to wait and see. But what I do know that's been successful for me is today's sponsor, SeatGeek. So the start of the baseball season is just around the corner, and like always, I'm rather excited to go see my Red Sox play, but for me personally, I'm always looking for a good deal on tickets. You can find more than 70,000 events on SeatGeek, like games for the upcoming Major League Baseball season, as well as other sports, concerts, festivals, and a lot more. Now, I'm a huge fan of SeatGeek because you can always find great deals on there, and I always go to their app to find good deals for Red Sox games, but what I like the most is that they rate the deal on a scale of 1 to 10, so you know you're getting a good purchase. Now, you just got to look for the green dots. Green means good, red means bad. I can't tell you enough how much that helps out my potato over brain. What's also good is every purchase is backed up with their buyer guarantee. And you know I came through for you fellas. You could use the code HYDE for $20 off tickets at SeatGeek right now when you use the code. Make sure you click the link in the description to download the app and have the code automatically added to your account so you can use it later. Now, with that said, let's get back to the video. On to the Nationals, and I got to go with Kyber Ruiz. I think people have been waiting for Ruiz to break out for a while now, and I'm going to be honest here. I don't know if that's going to happen. I mean, sure, he makes a lot of contact and he rarely strikes out, but the offense took a huge dip last year after it looked like he was taking a step forward in 2023. His OPS dropped about 100 points. Now, sure, he makes a lot of contact, but it's not very good contact. As you can see here, the batted ball profile did not rank well at all. The average exit velocity in the 4th percentile, barrel percentage in the 6th percentile, hard hit percentage was very low. The bat speed was in the 3rd percentile, so he's really going to have to fix some things here. And on top of that, his defense still continues to be pretty underwhelming. Fielding run value last year was only -5. The Orioles signed Andrew Kittredge to a 1-year deal this offseason, but it's already off to a bad start as he needs to get knee surgery. But before that, I wasn't too high on the signing. I mean, sure, he got a lot of guys to chase last year. He was in the 100th percentile in chase rate with a 38.9%, but everything else I think was pretty middle of the road. You know, sure, he did get a good amount of swing and miss. The walk percentage looked pretty good, but not a whole lot of strikeouts overall. He gives up a decent amount of exit velocity. His fastball velocity wasn't very good. So when you consider the knee surgery that he's getting, you know, I'm not sure how effective he's going to be as a high leverage arm at the back of the Orioles bullpen. For the Padres, I got Jose Iglesias. Now, to be clear, he signed a minor league deal with an invitation to spring training, but I imagine he's going to find himself on the roster on opening day. But when it comes to his numbers, I just don't see him doing what he did this past year with the Mets. Sure, he hit .337 with an .830 OPS, OMG, but his BABIP was very high at .382. We are absolutely going to see some regression there because the batted ball data was not very good. He ranked very low in average exit velocity, barrel percentage, and hard hit percentage. For the Phillies, I got Nick get Castellanos, and even though his sweet spot percentage increased last year, both his barrel and his hard hit percentage dropped, while his plate discipline rankings remained pretty low as well. And along with his poor defense in right field, I do wonder what we're going to get out of Castellanos overall this year. The Pirates reaped the benefits of the Giants cutting ties with Joey Bart last year, as he posted a .799 OPS with 13 home runs over 80 games, but there were a couple of red flags for me. His bat speed was pretty solid, 74.8 miles per hour, and his chase rate was okay as well, but his whiff and K percentage did not rank well, and his exit velocity was pretty below average, and he didn't draw a lot of walks either. It's going to be interesting to see if he can keep up these numbers. For the Rangers, I got Adolis Garcia. Now, he had another season of hitting at least 25 home runs, but a lot of his metrics dropped, which led to an overall dip in his slash line as his OPS dropped about 150 points. My goodness. Now, his batted ball data still looked pretty good. The average exit velo, the barrel percentage, hard hit percentage, all ranked pretty well, but it's the plate discipline here that was pretty bad overall, with both his walk and his chase percentage dropping a lot from 2023. For the Rays, I got Zach Littell. He flew under the radar last year, posting a 3.63 ERA and a 3.88 on the FIP over 29 starts, but I see a little bit of regression here. Now, he kept the walks down a lot. He was in the 94th percentile last year. A 4.7 walk percentage is very good, and he got a lot of chases as well. He was in the 77th percentile there, but everything else looked pretty bad. He gave up a lot of hard hit balls. The average exit velocity ranked in the 35th percentile. Doesn't get a lot of ground balls. He doesn't get a lot of strikeouts either. So I think we're going to see some regression here. For the Red Sox, I got Connor Wong. Now, he did post some pretty solid numbers last year at the plate, hitting .280 with a .758 OPS, but his metrics were pretty low across the board, and his batting average on balls in play was pretty high at .348, along with the fact that he didn't hit very well in the second half. Now, he did put on some muscle this offseason, but I'm a little worried about him being able to replicate those numbers again this coming year. And on top of that, the defense was not very good. I mean, sure, he did throw out a decent amount of runners, but the blocks were not very good. The framing wasn't very good. So I'm not sure what to expect here with Connor Wong. For the Reds, I got Alexis Diaz. Over the last 2 years, he ranks 5th overall in saves with a 65, but I do wonder how he's going to be this coming year. Last year, he had an ERA at 3.99, but his FIP was a lot higher at a 4.57, mainly because his strikeouts went down from 2023, which was due to the fact that his slider wasn't really getting the same swing and misses last year. So I'm thinking Alexis Diaz is going to fall off a little bit more this year. On to the Rockies, and I mean, who else would you go with here other than Chris Bryant? I mean, I'm going to be honest here. I want Chris Bryant to do well, but considering this has been one of the worst contract signings so far, I'm not sure how much hope you can actually have for this guy. Since signing with the Rockies in 2022, he's posted a .713 OPS and a negative 1.1 wins above replacement overall. He's had a ton of injuries, and all of his metrics last year, minus the sweet spot percentage, ranked extremely low. I hate to do this, but I'm going to go with Seth Lugo for the Royals. Lugo was very good for the Royals last year, and he was one of the best value signings last offseason, but I do expect some regression this year. He was very good in the first half, had an ERA of 2.48, but it went up to a 3.84 in the second half, which still isn't bad, but still a slight step back. And on top of that, his metrics minus his walk percentage weren't very good last year. They were all pretty middle of the road or below average for the most part, and considering he's going into his age 35 season, I think we're going to see some regression. For the Tigers, I got Gleyber Torres. Now, they just signed Torres this past offseason, but I'm going to be honest here, I don't like the fit very much. Now, as you can see, his home runs dropped a lot this past year, went from 25 in 2023 to 15 in 2024, and he's going to a ballpark that's a bit more spacious than it was at Yankee Stadium. And when you take a look at the batted ball profile, I mean, he ranked pretty low for the most part with his average exit velocity, the barrels, the hard hit percentage. Sure, he's still going to be pretty disciplined at the plate, doesn't chase a whole lot, so I still think he's going to be okay, but I just wonder about the power numbers with him. On to the Twins, and I got Jose Miranda. Now, he did post some pretty solid numbers last year, hitting .284 with a .763 OPS and a .115 WRC+. However, he had a pretty rough second half, only hitting .212 after hitting .325 in the first half, and his batted ball profile wasn't very good here, minus the squared up percentage, and he only walked 4% of the time last year. I hate to do this to one of my all-time favorites, but I gotta go with Andrew Benintendi for the White Sox. Like I mentioned with Chris Bryant earlier, this has not been a very good contract overall since he's posted a negative 0.4 wins above replacement over the first 2 seasons. Now, he did have pretty solid plate discipline for the most part, but when you take a look at the batted ball data, it was not very good. Exit velo, barrel percentage, hard hit percentage were all low, and his bat speed was in the 7th percentile. That is no bueno. And he also just suffered a non-displaced fracture in his hand. So I'm very worried about the bat with Benintendi this year. And last but not least, I got Giancarlo Stanton for the Yankees. Now, he did have a much better year this past year, ranking near the top in all of his batted ball data, despite not having very good plate discipline, and he was productive in the postseason. But the Yankees don't even know when this guy is going to be coming back, since he's having issues with both of his elbows right now and his calf. What the heck is going on with Giancarlo Stanton? Now, he did say he had elbow issues going back to last year, so it's going to be interesting to see how much time he misses this year and if he'll even end up playing at all in 2025. But everyone, those are my picks this year for the players I do not like for every team. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. Who are some players that you don't like for every team this year? Let me know down below. But everyone, that's all I got for right now. If you can on the way out, hit that like button for me. Subscribe if you're new. We're so close to 50K subscribers. I can smell it. But everyone, that's all I got. I'll talk to you next time.